Daniel 9, 4-11. And I prayed unto Yahweh my Elohim, and made my confession, and said, O Yahweh, the great and dreadful Elohim, keeping the covenant and mercy to them that love him, and to them that keep his commandments. We have sinned and have committed iniquity, and have done wickedly, and have rebelled, even by departing from thy precepts and from thy judgments. Neither have we hearkened unto thy servants the prophets, which spake in thy name to our kings, our princes, and our fathers, and to all the people of the land. O Yahweh, righteousness belongs unto thee, but unto us confusion of faces, as at this day. To the men of Yehudah, and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and unto all Israel, that are near and that are far off, through all the countries whither thou hast driven them, because of their trespasses which they have trespassed against thee. O Yahweh, to us belongs confusion of face, to our kings, to our princes, and to our fathers, because we have sinned against thee. To Yahweh our Elohim belongs mercy and forgivenesses, though we have rebelled against him. Neither have we obeyed the voice of Yahweh our Elohim, to walk in his laws, which he set before us by his servants the prophets. Yea, all Israel have transgressed thy law, even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore the curse is poured upon us, and the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of Yahweh, because we have sinned against him. Shalom, shalom, and welcome back. Daniel confessed that the curse of confusion had been poured out on us, because our kings, our princes, our fathers, and all the people of the land sinned against Yahweh. Today, the descendants of the children of Israel are suffering from the curse of confusion that has been poured out upon us. There is confusion among us on who Yahweh has chosen to be king over Israel. Some are saying the character of the new book is their king and Messiah. Others are saying that Yahweh will raise David from the grave and he will take possession of the throne again. And then there's another group that is saying the king to be is among us, waiting to be redeemed like the rest of us. Why is there so many different opinions among us? Our fathers did not have 3 different opinions pertaining to the promise made to David. Why do we? This is further evidence that Yahweh has indeed fulfilled his word and poured out the curse of confusion on us. Yahweh made a promise to David. David went to his grave believing and clinging to the promise that Yahweh told him. If we are saying anything other than what Yahweh told David without having evidence of a change, then we are false witnesses. Please remember, Yahweh said we are his witnesses. How can you be a faithful witness if you do not know what happened or lie about what happened? Isaiah 43, 9-10. Let all the nations be gathered together, and let the people be assembled. Who among them can declare this, and show us former things? Let them bring forth their witnesses, that they may be justified. Or let them hear and say, it is truth. Ye are my witnesses, saith Yahweh, and my servant whom I have chosen, that ye may know and believe me, and understand that I am he. Before me there was no Elohim formed, neither shall there be after me. Today, we will focus on the promise made to David and allow the word of Yahweh to show us who is slated to be our future king. I want to remind you again of some principles when studying the words of Yahweh. Deuteronomy 4, 1-2. Now therefore hearken, O Israel, unto the statutes and unto the judgments which I teach you, for to do them, that ye may live and go in and possess the land which Yahweh Elohim of your fathers giveth you. Ye shall not add unto the words which I command you, neither shall you diminish aught from it, that ye may keep the commandments of Yahweh your Elohim, which I command you. Proverbs 30:5-6. Every word of Yahweh is pure. He is a shield unto them that put their trust in him. Add thou not unto his words, lest he reprove thee, and thou be found a liar. Isaiah 8:20. To the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. Psalms 119:24. Thy testimonies also are my delight and my counselors. Since everyone is in agreement that Yahweh made a personal covenant with David, let us look closely at the covenant first. 2 Samuel 7:8-16. So then, thus you shall say to my servant David, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, I took you from the pasture, from following the sheep, to be a leader over my people, over Israel. And I have been with you everywhere you went. I have cut off all your enemies from in front of you, and I will make a great name for you, as the name of the great ones who are on the earth. I will make a place for my people Israel, and I will plant them so that they can dwell in their own place. They will not tremble any longer, and the children of wickedness will not afflict them again, as in the former days. In the manner that I appointed judges over my people Israel, I will give you rest from all your enemies. And Yahweh declares to you that Yahweh will build a house for you. When your days are full and you lie down with your ancestors, I will raise up your offspring after you, who will go out from your body, and I will establish his kingdom. He will build a house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. I will be a father to him, and he will be a son for me, whom I will punish when he does wrong, with a rod of men and with blows of human beings. But my loyal love shall not depart from him, as I took it from Saul, whom I removed from before you. Your house and your kingdom shall endure forever before you. Your throne shall be established forever. Hallelujah. 1 Chronicles 17:11-15. And it shall be that when your days are fulfilled to go and sleep with your ancestors, then I will raise up your seed after you, who will be one of your sons, and I will establish his kingdom. He himself will build for me a house, and I will establish his throne forever. I myself will be a father to him, and he himself will be a son to me. And I will not remove my steadfast love from him, as I took it away from whoever was before you. And I will establish him in my house and in my kingdom forever, and his throne will be established forever. According to all these words, and according to all this revelation, thus did Nathan speak to David. Hallelujah. Let's look closer at what the covenant entailed. To build a house for David. After David's days were full and he lied down with his ancestors, Yahweh would raise up his offspring. The seed was to come from David's body and establish his kingdom. He, the offspring, will build a house for Yahweh's name, and Yahweh will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. Yahweh would be a father to him, the seed, and he would be a son to Yahweh. Yahweh will punish him when he does wrong with the rod of men and with the blows of human beings. But his loyal love would not depart from him as it did from Saul. Not only did Yahweh make this covenant, he swore by his holiness that he would not lie to David, nor alter the thing that went forth out of his mouth. Psalms 89:28-37. My mercy will I keep for him forevermore, and my covenant shall stand fast with him. His seed also will I make to endure forever, and his throne as the days of heaven. If his children forsake my law and walk not in my judgments, if they break my statutes and keep not my commandments, then will I visit their transgressions with the rod and their iniquity with stripes. Nevertheless, my loving kindness will I not utterly take from him, nor suffer my faithfulness to fail. My covenant will I not break, nor alter the thing that is gone forth out of my lips. Once have I sworn by my holiness that I will not lie unto David. His seed shall endure forever, and his throne as the sun before me. It shall be established forever as the moon, and as a faithful witness in heaven. Selah. We have two testimonies that confirm the covenant Yahweh made with King David. Then Yahweh swears on his holiness that he will not alter his covenant with David. However, we have three different opinions circulating among us on who our future king will be. Let's look at each stance and see which position holds water. If their position holds no water, we have no choice but to denounce that teaching. I do not encourage others to inquire in the New Testament, so we will not be looking at any of the New Testament letters. It is easy to refute the character of the new book being our king based on the promise of Yahweh alone. Yahweh told David he would establish his seed. The seed was to come from David's loins. The character of the new book does not come from the seed of any man. It is reported that his mother was impregnated by the Holy Spirit. David is not the Holy Spirit. Neither would the Spirit have a vial of David's semen when Yahweh said his seed was to come from David's body. It is also reported that the character of the new book lineage is traced through his mother. Well, that is not the order that Yahweh established to determine lineage among the children of Israel. The nation of Israel is a patriarchal and a patrilineal society. What does that mean? Patriarchal is a system of society or government controlled by men. Patrilineal is descent through the male line. It was already established that Yahweh told David that his seed would come from his body. It would be one of his sons, not one of his daughters. It is also established in the law that the tribe of the children of Israel is determined by the father. Numbers 1:1-4. And Yahweh spake unto Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, in the tabernacle of the congregation, on the first day of the second month, in the second year after they were come out of the land of Egypt, saying, Take ye the sum of all the congregation of the children of Israel, after their families, by the house of their fathers, with the number of their names, every male by their polls, from 20 years old and upwards, all that are able to go forth to war in Israel. Thou and Aaron shall number them by their armies, and with you there shall be a man of every tribe, every one head of the house of his fathers. His mother, supposedly being Yehuda, has nothing to do with whether he is Yehuda or not. Among the children of Israel, it is the father's house that determines the tribe. Since he does not come from the seed of a man of Israel, he wouldn't belong to a tribe of Israel, especially not the house of David. This position holds no water. Yahweh was very clear that he would not alter his covenant with David. The covenant with David specifically stated that it would be a son that comes from David's own body. Some would try to argue that Joseph was his father, but that makes no sense. When Joseph found out Mary was with child, he sought a way to put her away privately because he had not lain with her. Let's move forward. Most of our Torah-only brethren say David will be raised from the grave and take the throne. Let us see if that stance holds water. The very first thing that Yahweh told David is when your days are full and you go to sleep with your ancestors, then I will raise up your seed after you. Right here, Yahweh told David he was going to die. Then his seed would be raised up. If Yahweh intended to raise David after he told him he would die, this would have been the perfect time to tell him he would be raised again. He told David he would raise his seed up after he died. David understood that his throne was established for his house, not one single king. That there would be many sons to sit on the throne throughout the years because Yahweh promised to establish the throne of his seed forever. If David had a hope of a future resurrection, why did he utter these words when his son passed away? 2 Samuel 12:19-23. David noticed his servants whispering, and he knew that the boy was dead. Did my son die? He asked his servants. Yes, he did, they answered. David got up off the floor. He took a bath, combed his hair, and dressed. He went into Yahweh's tent and worshiped. Then he went back home. David asked for something to eat, and when his servants brought him some food, he ate. His officials said, "What are you doing? You went without eating and cried for your son while he was alive. But now that he's dead, you're up and eating?" David answered, "When he was still alive, I went without food and cried because there was still hope. I said to myself, who knows, maybe Yahweh will have pity on me and let the child live. But now that he's dead, why should I go without eating? I can't bring him back. Someday I will join him in death, but he can't return to me." Hallelujah. David confirmed and praised Yahweh when he crowned Solomon king that Yahweh allowed him to see one of them while he was still alive. 1 Kings 1:47-48. The servants of the king came to congratulate our Lord King David, saying, "Yahweh has made the name of Solomon better than your name, and his throne greater than your throne." So the king worshipped on the bed. What is more, the king said, "May Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel, be blessed, who has given this day one sitting on my throne, and my eyes are seeing it." Hallelujah. Yahweh swore by his holiness that he would not lie or alter his covenant to David. So where do our brothers and sisters get the ideal that David will be raised from the grave and take possession of the throne again? Is there a witness or a testimony that will show that Yahweh went back on his oath to David after he swore he wouldn't alter it? What did David confirm on his deathbed? 1 Kings 2:1-4. The days of David came near for him to die, and he charged Solomon his son, saying, "I am about to go the way of all the world. Be strong and be courageous. You shall keep the charge of Yahweh your Elohim, to walk in his ways, to keep his statutes, his commandments, his judgments, and his testimonies, as are written in the law of Moses, so that you may prosper in all that you do and everywhere you turn, so that Yahweh may establish his word, which he spoke concerning me, saying, if your sons take heed of their ways, to walk before me in faithfulness with all their heart and with all their souls, no man of yours will be cut off from the throne of Israel." Hallelujah. If David thought the covenant Yahweh made with him entailed him returning from the grave and taking possession of the throne again, this would have been the perfect time for him to say it. He did not. He confirmed what Yahweh stated that he would not remove or cut his sons from the throne of Israel. What happened when David's sons forsook the covenant? If it was in Yahweh's intention to raise David back from the grave, why would he tell these words to Solomon? 1 Kings 11:4-13. It happened at the time of Solomon's old age that his wives guided his heart after other gods, and his heart was not fully with Yahweh his Elohim, as the heart of David his father had been. Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the god of the Sidonians, and after Molech, the abhorrence of the Ammonites. So Solomon did evil in the eyes of Yahweh and did not fully follow after Yahweh as David his father. At that time, Solomon built a high place for Chemos, the abomination of Moab, on the mountain which faces Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the Ammonites. Thus he did for all his foreign wives, offering incense and sacrificing to their gods. Yahweh was angry with Solomon, for he had turned his heart from Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel, who had appeared to him twice, and he had commanded him concerning this matter not to go after other gods. But he did not keep that which Yahweh commanded. So Yahweh said to Solomon, because this was with you, and you did not keep my covenant and my ordinances which I have commanded you, I will certainly tear the kingdom from you, and I will give it to your servant. However, I will not do in your days for the sake of David your father. From the hand of your son I will tear it away. Yet all of the kingdom I will not tear away. I will give one tribe to your son for the sake of my servant David and for the sake of Jerusalem, which I have chosen. Here we see Yahweh is angry with Solomon for his disobedience, and he told him he would tear the kingdom from him. We see that Yahweh is keeping his covenant with David to punish his seed when he does wrong, but his loyal love would not depart from him. Yahweh clearly told Solomon he would leave him with one tribe for David his servant's sake. I know there are scriptures throughout the book of remembrance that mentions David by name. We have to think logically, and if something doesn't make sense, we must seek Yahweh for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Proverbs 2:3-6. For if you cry out for understanding, if you lift up your voice for insight, if you seek her like silver and search her out like treasure, then you will understand the fear of Yahweh, and the knowledge of Elohim you will find. For Yahweh will give wisdom. From his mouth comes knowledge and understanding. Hallelujah. Let's take, for example, Ezekiel 37:24-25. And my servant David will be king over them, and one shepherd will be for all of them. And in my regulations they will go, and my statutes they will observe, and they will do them. And they will dwell on the land that I gave to my servant, to Jacob, in which your ancestors dwelled. And they will dwell in it, they and their children, and the children of their children, forever. And my servant David will be a leader for them forever. At first glance, it appears that Yahweh is speaking to our father David. If we are thinking logically, this is not the promise Yahweh made with David. The promise was for his seed. So we need to find where Yahweh has altered his agreement with David, or look for clarity on what is really being said here. There is no scripture that shows that Yahweh altered the covenant with David. Yahweh confirmed that he has not altered his covenant. Jeremiah 33:14-26. Look, the days are coming, declares Yahweh, and I will fulfill the good promise that I promised to the house of Israel and to the house of Yehudah. In those days and in that time, I will make a branch of righteousness sprout for David, and he will execute justice and righteousness in the land. In those days, Yehudah will be safe, and Jerusalem will dwell safely. And this is what they shall call it: Yahweh is our righteousness. For thus saith Yahweh, a man who sits on the throne of the house of Israel will not be cut off for David, and for the priest, a man from the Levites who offers burnt offerings, who burns grain offerings, and who brings sacrifices will not be cut off before me forever. And the word of Yahweh came to Jeremiah, saying, Thus saith Yahweh, if you could break my covenant with the day and my covenant with the night, so that day and night would not come at their time, then my covenant could be broken with David my servant from having a son who will rule on his throne, and with the Levites, the priests, my ministers. As the host of heaven cannot be counted, and the sands of the sea cannot be measured, so I will make numerous the offspring of David my servant, and the Levites who minister to me. And the word of Yahweh came to Jeremiah, saying, Have you seen how these people speak, saying, The two clans whom Yahweh chose, he has also rejected them. Thus they have spurned my people from being a nation before them any longer. Thus saith Yahweh, if my covenant with day and with night and the regulations of the heaven and earth I have not established, then the offspring of Jacob and David my servant I will reject, from choosing rulers from his offspring over the offspring of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. For I will restore their fortunes, and I will have compassion on them. Hallelujah. Again, on the word of Yahweh and his sworn oath, he has not altered the covenant he made with David, that his offspring will rule over Israel. Then we clearly have a misunderstanding of who Yahweh is speaking about when he says David will rule over his people in the future context. Let's look at a few scriptures and let's see if we can identify who these scriptures are speaking about. Jeremiah 50:19. And I will bring Israel again to his habitation, and he shall feed on Carmel and Bashan, and his soul shall be satisfied upon Mount Ephraim and Gilead. Is this verse about our father Israel or the house of Israel? It's about the house of Israel. How do you know that this is about the house of Israel and not our father Israel? Because it speaks of Israel in a singular context. It says he and him. Does it need to say the house of Israel or the children of Israel for you to clearly distinguish that this verse is not speaking about our physical father Jacob or Israel, but the house of Israel? How about Hosea 4:15? Though thou, Israel, play the harlot, yet let not Yehudah offend, and come not ye unto Gilgal, neither go ye up to Beth-aven, nor swear, Yahweh liveth. How about this verse? Is this about Israel, our forefather, and Yehudah, our forefather, or the house of Israel and the house of Yehudah? Does it need to say that this is about the house of Israel or the house of Yehudah for you to know it is speaking about the house? How about this one? Hosea 4:17. Ephraim is joined to idols. Let him alone. Is this about the house of Ephraim or our forefather Ephraim? Why is it when you see the names of the tribes throughout scriptures, you understand that it is speaking about that particular house or tribe, but we can't distinguish the difference between our physical father David and his house? The covenant Yahweh made with David was to establish him a house. Just like Israel has a house, Yehuda has a house, Levi has a house, and all the other tribes. Yahweh promised David a house. Every time you say that David will rise up from the grave to take possession of the throne, you call Yahweh a liar. You are inadvertently saying that Yahweh has cast off the house of David, the same way you claim that Yahweh has cast off the priests when you deny a priest is needed to keep the covenant of the laws. Yahweh knows what you are claiming. Look what he said. Jeremiah 33:24-26. Considerest thou what this people have spoken, saying, the two families which Yahweh hath chosen, he hath cast them off. Thus they have despised my people, that they should be no more a nation before them. Thus saith Yahweh, if my covenant be not with day and night, and if I have not appointed the ordinances of heaven and earth, then will I cast away the seed of Jacob and David my servant, so that I will not take any of his seed to be rulers over the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. For I cause their captivity to return and have mercy on them. Hallelujah. Yahweh calls those who deny the house of David haters or despisers. Yahweh promised to make or build a house for David. The house of David is a nation. From that nation, a son of David will be chosen. When he dies, another son from the house of David will take possession of the throne from generation to generation. If David, our father, is to be king again and not his sons, then the nation of David and the promise made to David is void. Yahweh said, if we can alter his covenant with day and night, that they do not come at the appointed time, then his covenant can be altered with David. And we know there is no stopping the sun from rising and setting, nor the night from taking over. Then we know that Yahweh has not altered his covenant. Therefore, David will not be coming back to take the throne. We have refuted two stances. We have established that the character of the new book does not fit the bill to be our future king. He is not a descendant of David. He cannot prove his lineage via his mother because lineage is determined by the father's house in the Israelite society. He cannot prove his lineage from his father because he does not come from the seed of a man. Our forefather David does not fit the bill to be our future king based on the covenant made with him that Yahweh swore by his holiness he would not alter. So let's look at the last stance. Our future king is among us awaiting redemption. The promise Yahweh made to David said, if David's seed did wrong, he would punish him with the rod of man and with the blows of human beings. But his loyal love would not depart from him as it did from Saul. We know that Yahweh did not change, so we need to see testimonies from our holy word on how Yahweh dealt with the seed of King David in the past, to the law and to the testimony. According to the laws of Torah, if we broke the covenant, the curses would be poured out on the nation. One of the curses was to take our king into captivity. Deuteronomy 28:36-37. Yahweh will bring you and your king, whom you set over you, to a nation that you or your ancestors have not known. And there you will serve other gods of wood and stone, and you will become a horror and a proverb and a ridicule among all the peoples where Yahweh drives you there. Are there any testimonies that confirm that Yahweh has made good on his word to do this to our fathers? 2 Kings 24:8-14. And Jehoiachin was 18 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 3 months in Jerusalem. The name of his mother was Netusha, daughter of Elnathan, from Jerusalem. He did evil in the eyes of Yahweh according to all that his father had done. At that time, the servants of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem, and the city came under siege. Then Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came against the city while his servants were besieging it. Jehoiachin, king of Yehuda, went out to the king of Babylon, he, his mother, his servants, his commanders, and his court officials. The king of Babylon took him in the 8th year of his reign. Then he took from there all the treasures of the temple of Yahweh and the treasures of the palace of the king. He cut up all of the vessels of gold which Solomon the king of Israel had made in the temple of Yahweh, as Yahweh had foretold. He deported all of Jerusalem, all of the commanders, 10,000 of the skilled warriors, and the artisans. No one was left over except the poorest of the people of the land. According to this, Jehoiachin went into captivity with the people. 2 Chronicles 33, 1-13. Manasseh was 12 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 55 years in Jerusalem. And he did evil in the eyes of Yahweh according to the detestable things of the nations whom Yahweh drove out before the Israelites. And he rebuilt the high places of that Hezekiah his father broke down. And he set up altars for the Baals, made Asherahs, and bowed down to the host of heaven and served them. And he built altars in the house of Yahweh, of which Yahweh has said, in Jerusalem my name shall be forever. And he built altars to all the host of heaven in the 2 courtyards of the house of Yahweh. And he himself burnt his sons in the fire in the valley of Ben-Hinnom. And he practiced sorcery and divination, and he engaged in witchcraft and dealt with mediums and spiritists. He did much evil in the eyes of Yahweh to provoke him to anger. And he placed the carved image of the idol that he had made in the house of Yahweh, of which Yahweh had said to David and to Solomon his son, in this house and in Jerusalem, which I have chosen from all the tribes of Israel, I will put my name forever. And I will never remove the foot of Israel from upon the land which I appointed to you, to your ancestors, if only you will take care to all that you have commanded them, all the law, the regulations, and the judgments by the hand of Moses. And Manasseh seduced Yehuda and the inhabitants of Jerusalem to do evil more than the nations that Yahweh destroyed before the Israelites. And Yahweh spoke to Manasseh and to his people, but they would not listen. So Yahweh brought the commanders of the armies of the king of Assyria upon them. And they took Manasseh captive with hooks, and they bound him with bronze fetters and brought him to Babylon. And when he was in distress, he entreated Yahweh his Elohim, and greatly humbled himself before the Elohim of his ancestors, and prayed to him. And Yahweh responded to him, and heard his pleas, and let him return to Jerusalem to his kingdom. And Manasseh knew that Yahweh was Elohim. Hallelujah. Manasseh, king of Israel, went into captivity with the people. We have 2 witnesses which confirm that Yahweh kept his word to punish our kings with the rod of men. We also see that Yahweh's loyal love did not depart from him or the house of David, for when Manasseh humbled himself before Yahweh as commanded, he was returned to his kingdom as king over Israel. Jeremiah confirms in his lamentation that our king is among the Gentiles. Lamentations 2, 6-9. And he have violently taken away his tabernacle as if it were of a garden. He have destroyed his places of assembly. Yahweh have caused the solemn feast and the Shabbats to be forgotten in Zion. He have despised in the indignation of his anger the king and the priest. Yahweh have cast off his altar. He have abhorred his sanctuary. He have given up into the hand of the enemies the walls of her palaces. They have made a noise in the house of Yahweh as in the day of a solemn feast. Yahweh has proposed to destroy the wall of the daughter of Zion. He hath stretched out a line. He hath not withdrawn his hand from destroying. Therefore he made the rampart and the wall to lament. They languish together. Her gates are sunk into the ground. He hath destroyed and broken her bars. Her king and her princes are among the Gentiles. The law is no more. Her priests also find no vision from Yahweh. Have mercy. How is it that we have all these testimonies that confirm that Yahweh has kept his sworn oath to David, but we, his witnesses, deny that he hath kept his word? Our enemies have craftily changed the story of our plight. Your enemies know that a Messiah is to come from among us. They have stated this on record in the CIA COINTELPRO documents in 1968. This is their fear. Just like the Egyptians sought to slay the sons of Israel, so your enemies today are slaying your sons at will because they fear this son will rise up among us. Our brothers and our sisters who admit that it is impossible for the character of the new book to be our king have not sought wisdom in confirming who our king will be. Yahweh is not a man to lie, and his word that goes forth from his mouth does not return to him void. If he said it, it will happen. The only way it will not come to pass is if Yahweh himself alters his word. Our testimony confirms that when the people of Israel were taken captive, so was their king. Does Yahweh change? Did Yahweh cast off the house of David? He confirmed that he has not cast off the house of David, and those who claim he has are haters. Yahweh promised these words to the house of David and to the children of Israel. Jeremiah 30:7-10. Alas, for that day is great. There is none like it, and it is a time of distress for Jacob. Yet from it he will be delivered. And it will happen on that day, declares Yahweh of hosts. I will break his yoke from your neck, and your bonds I will tear to pieces. And strangers will no longer let him work as a slave, but they will serve Yahweh their Elohim, and David their king, whom I will raise up for them. But you must not fear my servant Jacob, declares Yahweh, and you must not be dismayed, Israel. For look, I am going to save you from far, and your offspring from the land of their captivity. And Jacob will return, and he will be at rest, and he will be at ease, and there will be no one who makes him afraid. Hallelujah. Jeremiah 23:5-8. Look, days are coming, declares Yahweh, when I will raise up for David a righteous branch, and he will reign as king, and he will achieve success, and he will do justice and righteousness in the land. In his days, Yehudah will be saved, and Israel will dwell in safety. And this is his name by which he will be called. Yahweh is our righteousness. Therefore, look, days are coming, declares Yahweh, when they will no longer say, as Yahweh lives, who led up the Israelites from the land of Egypt, but as Yahweh lives, who led up and who brought the offspring of the house of Israel from the land of the north and from all the lands where he has driven them. Then they will live in their land. Our scriptures confirm that history repeats itself. Ecclesiastes 1:9. The thing that hath been, it is that which will be. and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. Ecclesiastes 3:14 and 15. I know that whatsoever Yahweh doeth, it shall be forever. Nothing can be put to it, nor anything taken from it. And Yahweh doeth it, that men shall fear before him. That which hath been is now, and that which is to be hath already been, and Yahweh requires that which is past. Hallelujah. We know that Yahweh do not change. Whenever our fathers broke his covenant, we went into captivity. As Daniel stated in our opening scriptures, our kings, our princes, our fathers, and all the people of the land were punished. The punishment that was poured out was that which is written in the law of Moses, the curses. We read that the curses concerning the king was to go in captivity. Our future king is a descendant of King David. He is somewhere in one of these lands where we are scattered, waiting for Yahweh to visit like the rest of us. When Yahweh sees fit, he will raise him up to take the throne. Now, if anyone can provide a testimony that the character of the new book actually descends from David's line via his father, or that Yahweh has altered his covenant with David, and that David himself will be raised up to take possession of the throne again, I will gladly accept for correction. Shalom, shalom, and I hope you will join me for the next video.